Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gaming Pubcast, episode number 14. I am right, aren't I? I always have to double check because I'm never 100%. But got my both Duncan and Tom with me tonight.
Hello.
Hello.
Have we had a good week since the last catch up?
We have, yeah.
Game
Good.
wise?
Yes. Game wise, I completed the main story of Starfield. Yay.
Hey.
Congrats.
So without
Guess
giving too much away, it's a clever ending, which means it doesn't really end. But I won't say any more. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much so. It's meant I've been able to try other games. So what have I tried? Forza Motorsport. Played about 4 races, got bored, and went back to Forza Horizon 5. What's it called? Warhammer Dark Tide, I think that's came out on Game Pass. You can't play solo, so played one round. Tried to play another one solo. Worked out I couldn't play solo, and I was like, no thanks, uninstalled. But quite good if you got a group of friends. Good fun. And also played I can't remember, something space. It's like a twin stick shooter. Came out on Game Pass today, I think, on the Thursday the 12th. I can't remember what it's called. Something for space, outer space, or something like that. It's a twin stick shooter. Anyway, it wasn't particularly great. From space, I've just looked it up. The weapons don't feel like they're connecting. It's a bit clunky. So not really recommended for that. So there you go.
Wow.
That's been my journey this week.
Yeah. Other than Starfield, it sounds like you've had a bit of a underwhelming week, Duncan.
I think with the depth of Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield, I think I've been a bit spoiled. And Forza just annoyed me with all the. It had like a 30-second voiceover, unskippable voiceover, telling me what a practice round was. What do they need to say? This is a practice round. Practice. There you go. And yet it's unskippable, and it annoyed me. And then there's other bits that are explaining what it is. All unskippable. And there was a thing about upgrading that it told you different parts of the screen. And at the end of it, I was like, excellent. And it forced you to go to the next screen. I was like, no, I actually want to upgrade. And you're not letting me. It just annoyed me a bit. But in terms of the game, beautiful game, controls very, very well. It's a simulation racing game. And yes, it does look very good. If you like that kind of thing, you'll suffer the annoyance of unskippable dialogue.
Yeah, that is cutscenes that are unskippable are a bugbear.
Yes.
Sometimes though, like it does add to the game because it means, like Ratchet and Clank, they got unskippable cutscenes, which I don't mind because it means I know what's going on with the game. But most of the time, it's just like skip. I just want to play like Diablo. I don't have a clue the whole game. I've just killed like the I can't remember what her name is, but the main character on the box. I'm like, I don't really know why I killed her. And stuff because I could delete it. I just cut every or skip.
I guess you did bad stuff and bad things, and
I hope she did anyway because it was pretty.
She looked like she deserved it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I felt good afterwards. I was like, well, I think I've done the world a good favour there. But unskippable cutscenes. It's a bit of a bugbear because sometimes you just want to play the game, don't you? And it's.
I haven't played any more poor PS2 games this week to add to my rubbish PS2 game story, but I'm sure that will happen now that Starfield is out of the way. So
yeah, you've got time
maybe
for
next week,
stuff like that, haven't you? So,
or maybe some rubbish Dreamcast games.
little.
How many hours was it, Duncan? Is Starfield?
Oh, blimey! Now you're asking. Well, yeah, you are literally asking. I will have a look while you're nattering away. I've got Xbox stuff here, my Xbox profile. I'll have a little look. But what have you been playing then, Tom?
I've been playing 2076 Midway Multiverse on the Oculus Quest 2. What a title to a game. It's essentially R-Type, but in 3D. But when I say 3D, the ships fly out of the screen at you. You can reach into the screen. You can move around things. It is completely incredible. It is available on the Steam Deck, but it's nowhere near what it's like on the Quest. I don't even know how to describe it, but you can go onto SideQuest and install it on the Oculus. It's free, and it is just a phenomenal piece of programming. And it's almost like you're surrounded by these ships that are flying around your head, in front of you, behind you. They fly past, the bullets, whatever else, and you become part of the game. It's incredible. It really is incredible. Think Raiden, think R-Type, those type games. Yeah, that's where we're at. So definitely a 100% 10 out of 10 download. Can't wait for the full game.
Also, it's only a demo. Yeah?
It's only a demo, but it is a phenomenal piece of software, and hopefully we get a full game on the Quest. But on Steam, you can get the full game already. And the other game I've been playing is Battle for Middle-earth 2 on laptop.
Oh, the Lord of the Rings.
The RTS. Put a few mods on there, so had some online play with a friend of mine. So we had 50,000 characters fighting in this army, soldiers, and I'm guessing
it's not normally 50,000.
No, not even close. Probably about 1,000. An initial bit of slowdown. The laptop wasn't enjoying it very much at first, but we had a Helm's Deep battle. I think we played for about 4 hours.
Nice.
And, it was pretty phenomenal and a great game.
I worked out my Starfield hours was 108.
Oh wow!
So
108 on the story.
Well, no, probably the story. That's the thing. I got to the point where I was having to go and search for more missions, and there are loads of missions that I would have missed. But I mostly did up to a certain point, and then just did side missions. And then the last probably 15 hours was probably just story. So all in all, the story's probably only taken. You could probably rush through it in 20 hours if you really wanted to.
4 hours is enough for me on any game, let alone that many. Just quickly, just mentioning, there is a remake of Battle for Middle-earth 2, a fan-made remake that is meant to be coming out. Not too sure how genuine this is, but it's called Battle for Middle-earth Reforged. They have their own YouTube channel. And it's a fan project, and it's to make
it. They haven't had a takedown notice yet.
It's a 4K remake, but they haven't posted for 3 months, so maybe the project's fallen apart. Time will tell.
Well, EA isn't as litigious as Nintendo, but I think they are still sometimes go, no, you're not doing that. That's ours.
Well, EA lost the rights now, haven't they, to the Tolkien games?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's they still have the rights to the old games.
The old games,
still theirs. Because Gollum was not EA.
No.
EA definitely didn't do that one.
That was one for the bin. Let's face it, terrible game.
Never played it, unfortunately.
Keep it that way. It's not worth it.
There was another Lord of the Rings game, wasn't there, meant to be coming out? That's like a survival one.
Yeah, coming out pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's PC maybe console, but I don't know whether they delayed it just to distance themselves from Gollum, because
Yeah, it's a different company making it as well.
exactly. And if they released it anywhere near Gollum, people would have just gone, "Yeah, no thanks."
So it's called Return to Moria.
That's the one.
Yeah, and it's due to come out on October the 24th.
Very soon.
Yeah, so
Maybe I have
it's
to have
a
a look at that.
digital-only release, so it's not a physical release. Sorry, no, tell a lie. A physical release will come out on December the 5th. The early release is digital only, and it's coming out on PlayStation 5, Windows via the Epic Games Store, and
Xbox.
not till 2024, if at all.
Boo.
So yeah, it's the screens look pretty good on it, but it's very much, if anyone remembers the very first animated Lord of the Rings from '79, I think it was, it looks very much like that.
Okay.
It's a very unique graphic style.
Yeah, it's a bit cartoony.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm just having a little look at it here. It's just get it to load up. Yes, it's very nice. It's not cartoony as in it's realistic, but at the same time cartoony characters. If you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it looks quite. It could be good.
Fingers crossed.
It can't be as bad as Gollum, can it? Let's face it.
No. What did Gollum score anyway? Do we know what
Metacritic? Pretty low, isn't it? It's we.
Lord of the Rings.
The
Gollum.
reviews were pretty.
34%.
It was the worst game reviewed of 2023.
Easily. It's got a user score of 1.2.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I just don't get that. Like what they.
It was done. It was made
bad.
by was it Daedalic?
Yeah.
And they did some fantastic point and click games, and they've tried to do a big impressive 3D stealth action game, and I think they just bit off more than they can chew, really. Yeah,
But the graphics were like PlayStation 3 graphics, weren't they? So
they actually downgraded the graphics prior to release because for something to do with the engine that they used to create everything. Something went wrong in the process, and they said they were going to fix it with an upgrade. And well, yeah,
dear.
It looked like something out of a Lego Lord of the Rings game or something. By the end,
it was not good. It was not good.
No.
But thankfully, I never bought it. I read a few people online. There was one guy in a group I'm on Facebook who his wife heard him talking about it, but he was talking about how bad it looked and everything. Just heard him and so bought it for him.
Oh.
Because he'd been talking about this fantasy game that he wanted for ages, and she couldn't remember the name. And he heard him talking about Gollum, but what he wanted was Diablo 4. And she brought him Gollum.
I think that might have been my. Unless you, that sounds very similar, Duncan.
Was that you that told me? I remember I've read it somewhere. Someone told me.
The partner got it for his birthday.
Maybe that was it. Yeah. Oh yes. Did you mention it on a previous?
Yeah, because he wanted his Diablo, and then he was. But he was talking to her about it in terms of, oh, you heard about this. He was like laughing about the reviews, and she was like, oh, what game are you? And he said Gollum, and he saw her face go like, get all worried in terms of, and he was like, messaged us in the chat like, I think she may have got me Gollum for my birthday. So just telling her how terrible it is, and she looks all worried. And then on his birthday, he sent us a picture of Gollum. And,
nice.
Yeah, so but it might be a different story, but but he did want Diablo. He did just go and get Diablo.
Keep it sealed, and you never know. It might be a collector's.
I know, yeah, exactly. It
might be the next ET.
Yeah.
So I think what we were going to do for this episode, we're sort of doing something new. I think we're trying to concentrate, but we're going to have. I suppose this episode is going to be Well, I'll just say it, like I said about the Dreamcast earlier. We're going to do a Dreamcast special. People on audio can't see I'm doing inverted commas. But yeah, so we decided that we'd talk about a specific console or game types of games every week. Yeah, and I think we all wanted to talk about the Dreamcast first. So I think, well, for those that don't know the Dreamcast, Tom, no, not Tom, Martin, are you going to do a...
I'll do a very brief introduction to the Dreamcast then. So
tell me about it.
The last ever console that was brought out by Sega, last console that was brought out in the 90s as well. So after the 32X and the Saturn and the Sega Mega CD, which were all a bit of a commercial failure for Sega, they did need their next console to become quite successful, and then they bought the Dreamcast. Initially, when it came out in Japan, it came out in 1998. They sold so many that they couldn't keep up with demand, so they were selling more than they could actually make. When it came out in America, it was the most successful at the time launch for any home console. So at the launch, it was quite successful, but unfortunately, that didn't last for very long. And soon it was being outsold by the PlayStation, just the PlayStation, that the original PlayStation, and sort of its downfall was when the PlayStation 2 came out, and everyone's just bought that instead because it was a DVD player as well as having the same. But at the time in the 90s, it was at 128-bit, so it was the most powerful home console you could have. Had a built-in modem, so it was the first. Well, I think it was the first sort of home console that had online gaming. So it was quite sort of revolutionary. And I probably, from the failures of the consoles before, was why it didn't really succeed, because actually it was quite a successful. Oh well, it was a good console, but it just didn't have the support of.
I think one thing we can say for sure is the Dreamcast has become one of the most liked. It's almost like the most cult following console of all time. I think you've got Neo Geo fans, you've got your Jaguar fans, you've got this, but I think generally gamers now has this rose tinted spectacles with the Dreamcast, and to be fair, it's warranted. I think slightly, like I said. I mean, I remember sticking. Yeah, well, did either of you have it in the late 90s or early 2000s?
Yeah, just before the PlayStation 2.
I see. So I had PlayStation 2 from launch date, and my DVD laser was dodgy, and took it back. Got another one in the end, and the second one was faulty. So I just got the money back and bought Dreamcast. So yeah, I had one, but I didn't have one till when was PlayStation 2, 2001, I think. So I had it quite late in the cycle when it was cheap.
Yeah, because it got discontinued March 2001, the Dreamcast. So it was quite a short cycle considering it came out in.
But that's just
EU.
when they stopped making it, I think, didn't it?
Yeah, so it came out in the EU and NA sort of September 1999, October 1999, and then discontinued worldwide March 2001. So yeah, you would have probably got one when they stopped making it at that point. For me, I didn't actually have one back then, but I have owned one. I got one when I was at university. I went through a phase where I was buying sort of retro game consoles. So this should have been sort of 2010 sort of time when I was at university. So at the time, I thought it was a retro game, but actually it would only been about 10 years since it discontinued. But it seemed at the time it was like sort of retro, but time does go quick, doesn't it? But no, I really enjoyed it, and I think it was a 90s console, which allowed you could get a keyboard which you could then message people on other Dreamcasts in the late 90s. It's just.
I still remember having the dial-up and connecting to the internet and just being like, wow, this is things that are not on the disc. Like, this is amazing. Even though we had dial-up internet on computers,
seeing it on a TV screen,
having it on a console on TV, it's like, wow, high score tables, or like you said, messages, and there was, I mean, it was very basic extra content on some of them. It'd be like, here's a picture of a character, here's a picture of a setting.
I think the inbuilt email was really good as well. I think they had an email program that.
Yeah, it was a bit like the Wii kind of thing. You'd get, wasn't it? You'd get messages from Sega or other things. I don't know.
It was based on Windows 3.1 or something like that. And it had almost like a Netscape style email inbox.
It had a browser. I remember that much.
There wasn't much to go on.
No, it was a very, very basic one.
EZ message boards, and that was about it.
But yeah, it did kill them off, didn't it? Because basically they spent all their money on the 32X and all that kind of stuff, which completely flopped. I mean, they had no cash. They had nothing really.
After the Saturn, because initially
the Saturn was rushed out, wasn't it?
Well, with the Saturn, they were thinking about making a Sega Saturn 2, and that was initially their thoughts, but obviously it was such a failure, they then decided, well, they weren't even going to, but they started making this new console, so they were already sort of too far down the line to stop, and then their thought path was that they just wanted it to be not even associated, so they were just going to leave Sega off the console and have it as Dreamcast, like people don't call it Sony PlayStation, they just call it a PlayStation. So they wanted Dreamcast to be its own thing, but then it obviously just didn't take off as they wanted to. And apparently they could have tried, but it could have almost bankrupted Sega, so they decided just to stop altogether and then focus on
there were two versions, weren't there, of the Dreamcast? You had the Katana and the Black Belt project. So you had the American and the Japanese teams developing two separate consoles pitted against each other. One was said to be considerably more powerful.
Well, they used the more powerful one was the American one. It was 3DFX, who at the time made all the Voodoo cards and whatnot for PCs. And obviously you don't really know, they're probably being absorbed by another company or bought by another company. Because before that they had NVIDIA, and it was one of NVIDIA's first chips. Graphics chips that they invented, kind of thing. But yeah, 3DFX were the big player in 3D graphics.
Yeah,
and then they decided to go with the Japanese company. Video Logic,
which like NEC, wasn't it? The Japanese one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was it
it was a company called Video Logic, and
the chip they used in it was but what was it, Tom? Why were they?
All the parts were off the shelf. It was cheap and easy, and everything was easy to produce, get off the shelf. Nothing was bespoke, unlike the Saturn. So it would be easy for people to hack, easy for people to program for, and very cheap to produce. So
well, the GD-ROM was.
Was it Yamaha? Did Yamaha
was
have
their own thing?
They had
because the GD-ROMs were the only reason that the only kind of copy protection. That's why it was easy to hack. So basically, all they had to do was find a way of getting games off the discs, put them on normal discs, find a way to boot those discs, and that was it.
Because I know they wanted it to be a console which third-party developers could easily, because that was one of the main complaints of Sega Saturn, is that third-party found it a bit difficult to make games for. And they also wanted to make it, because obviously with the PlayStation, everyone just copied the games, and so they tried to make it, but then they ended up making it one of the most easily hackable.
Well, they thought that because it was GD-ROMs and nothing else used GD-ROMs, that was enough copy protection. But then, because they had other facilities for various other kinds of discs, people just used that to copy the data off the discs, and there was no copy protection. other than it being on the GD-ROM, which a normal CD player or DVD player couldn't read. But they found a way how they could, and so they copied all the data, found a way to boot, and that was it. And so people copied all the games.
Incidentally, they did actually. I don't know if it was a third party or not, but there was a broadband or whatever it was called back then, a broadband modem that was released that you'd link into the original connection, and you're allowed to use a broadband connection speeds and access the Dreamcast network. Incidentally, it wasn't the first though. They advertised it as the first internet-ready console, but
128 kilobits per second or something.
Yeah, but it wasn't the first. The first was the Philips CDI and the Sega Mega Drive, both of which had the Sega Channel net access. And
wasn't the Sega Channel like a satellite link or something like that?
That's right. Download once a day. And then Super Nintendo had the Satellaview, which you would only work in Japan, and it was like an add-on that sat on the bottom.
Oh yes, that was a similar one, was it? It was over the airwaves.
That's it. And incidentally, that they when you saw the SNES CD thing.
So come on though, you can't technically call them internet, though, can you?
The CDI one was. The CDI was full internet.
Okay.
Yeah, but the other two were downloadable channels, downloadable games, and basic email. But they then upped that with the Dreamcast. But they were a bit sneaky with their advertising and saying they were the first internet capable.
It was. I mean, the Dreamcast was the first sort of mainstream one. The CDI was just so expensive.
Yeah.
Not many people had it.
£700.
Yeah, it was ridiculously expensive. But yeah, the Dreamcast, I mean, it was cheap when they released it. It had it had 4 controller ports. It had the internet. It was now Sega or Sega. They
Sega.
obviously set on.
Sega.
They say Sega on their things, but I think during the 80s, everybody over here said Sega.
Yeah.
But even though we had Sonic that went Sega, but it was such a good console. Why did all the business stuff have to mess it up? I mean, EA apparently refused to publish for it because of a licensing issue. So you didn't get any EA games, which love them or loathe them.
FIFA,
EA had a lot of games.
Yeah. And at the time, they were the biggest developer, obviously outside the console developing. So to lose like Madden and FIFA, and then have to then do their own sport games was obviously a big loss. But saying that, they did release a lot of good games, and sort of in preparation, we were going to sort of do a list of our favorite games. I don't know how many you've been able to list, but I tried to narrow it down to 5, and it was pretty difficult to narrow it down to 5 actually, because I realized sort of how many good games there are, and I'm sort of conscious.
Well, then you start. Then you start. What?
So I tried to.
I think we'll have a lot of crossover.
So I tried to keep it like because there are ones that I would put in there, like Resident Evil Code Veronica. I would have put in there, but then I was like, it is on the other consoles.
Yeah, but it was exclusive when it came out.
I know, but then but I've left it out, and then Soul Reaver as well. I would have put on there, but that was also on the PlayStation. The only one I have put on there, which was on other consoles, was Crazy Taxi. I put that one because it was sort of synonymous with Dreamcast. It was
Martin. If you want Soul Reaver and Crazy Taxi and what was the other one?
Well, Crazy Taxi.
Code Veronica. If you want Code Veronica on there, you can flipping have those if you want.
They're my honourable mentions. Code Veronica and Soul Reaver are my honourable mentions, but my official list: Crazy Taxi at number 5.
Fantastic.
I'm going to say I've got the list here, and I'm just thinking what order I want to put them in now. Number 4, Power Stone.
So
like
that was like a mini game.
It was like what's it? I can't think of the
like a mini game.
Mario,
abroad.
Super Smash Bros.
Yeah,
but on the Dreamcast. But it was a really fun game. It was number 3. I'm going to say Sonic Adventure, which, I mean, I think we
Nice.
probably, if I was to guess, I would say that's going to probably appear. Might be wrong in saying it, but I got a feeling that will appear in both your lists. But or unless you have Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh, I don't know. I think Tom might have the opposite opinion.
I like Sonic Adventure. I like the fact that you could have the different characters, had the mini games on it as well, and it was like obviously quite revolutionary at the time when it came out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What else was out? Number 2, Soul Calibur. Again, I think that's going to be in. I know, Duncan, you've mentioned Soul Calibur a few times, but for my number 1 is Shenmue. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Shenmue, or whatever.
I think it's Shenmue. Yeah, Shenmue.
Just because it's. I don't know if it's aged well, but at the time it was like.
It has not. I played the trilogy.
Had its own
it hasn't
weather,
aged well.
And the story and the fact that you could go if you didn't want to do the game, you could just explore. And I can't remember going to like an arcade bar and playing on the arcade and stuff.
Revolutionary.
Compared to what was out at that time, I remember playing it and I was like, this is completely different.
Yeah, the fact that you could go in loads of different shops, and there was an arcade and there was, you could get a job and drive a forklift around and pack some stuff and you could take it at your own pace, but there was also the days would count up, and that if you went a certain amount of time, I think the game just ended. It was quite a lot of time if you just skip days. But yeah, it was just
you could
unbelievable.
Walk down the street and there would be cats that you could go over and stroke and stuff.
Talk to people.
It was just
fighting. The fighting was more QTEs though, wasn't it? It was the QTEs
the button at the right time, just for what it was. The other games I might have enjoyed playing more, but I just felt that was like one that sort of stood out to me when I was making my list. So hence why it's number 1. But Soul Calibur could have been
I'm with you on most of those. I'm totally with you. Power Stone, not really, because I'm not really a fan of Smash Brothers and all that. Okay. But no, I have tried. I think I did try Power Stone, and it just gave me Smash Brothers vibes, and I was like, no. But
if you're not a Smash Bros fan, then
Crazy Taxi. I mean, it was an arcade game. It was so fast running that it was amazing that graphics like that were in the 90s. Loved it. So the only ones that I'd say that aren't. Hang on, I did have one in my head. Oh, blimey, what was it? But no, it's Soul Calibur. Yeah, Soul Calibur. I definitely, absolutely love that. Played that an absolute ton. Sonic Adventure. Yeah, I mean, I must have seen that opening bit where you're running through and there's the whale destroying the walkway that you're running on.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Probably 50 times, probably 100 times. And it was so impressive back then. So visually, it was impressive. Like you said, it had loads of mini games. It was a really fast game, and the fact that it was running on a console that came pretty much after things like the Saturn and the N64, and it looked that good. Oh, so good. So good.
It sort of gave me the same when I first played Super Mario 64. That's how I felt when I played Sonic. Is like, this is a step up. I know obviously we have our different views on Super Mario 64, but it was the first time that they went into 3D, and it just felt sort of revolutionary, and that's how I sort of felt with Sonic Adventure.
And the jump as well, graphically, the jump from Super Mario to that Sonic Adventure was phenomenal.
Yeah. So any addition on there which I didn't add, which you would add?
What was the other one? Jet Set Radio. Radio.
Yeah, I forgot. Choo Choo Rocket as well. I forgot about that one.
Oh, Choo Choo Rocket, yes.
It
came free with it, didn't it? Still, I think the only Dreamcast game I currently have on my Steam Deck that I'm still playing. And I love that game so much. I really wish I could download all the user-made maps, because that was another thing that you could get with the dial-up connection, you could get Choo Choo Rocket user-made maps, and there were some that were rock hard because you had to put there would be like 300 well, not 300, but on a 20 by 20 block or whatever, there'd be about 70 cats walking around, and you'd have to put about 10 different arrows in very specific places. So there was really tough ones. But it just meant instead of having about 100 levels, you had thousands of levels, and they were brilliant ones, absolutely brilliant ones, because people make brilliant things when they're given the opportunity. Oh, so many good memories. So many good memories.
So Tom,
come on then, Tom.
Let's hear.
So mine might be a little bit different here. There's a few of the same ones. So Crazy Taxi,
So good.
and Crazy Taxi 2 were phenomenal. Street Fighter 3, which was the first home port of the arcade, Street Fighter 3. Very much, it was the version of Street Fighter that was kind of missed by a lot of people.
Yeah. I remember playing Street Fighter 3 on PS2, was it? I think it was out.
3, probably.
Street Fighter 3, sorry. Street Fighter 3 on... Oh, was it PS3? Oh,
PS3.
Either way. Street Fighter 3, yeah, no. I remember it being not great, to be honest.
It was one of those ones where you kind of go, you either love it or you hate it. I loved it personally, but...
it was the first 3D one, though, wasn't it?
Layered graphics 3D, yeah, but the characters were still animated. Like,
hang on. Am I thinking of... Hang on. Street Fighter 3 was...
You thinking of Street Fighter X?
EX, was it?
Yeah, that was on the PlayStation.
Yeah, okay. Street Fighter 3, let's have a look.
And that also was a horrendous game.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, they're still animated, yes. No,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of EX, which was on the PlayStation 1, which was not very good. Okay, so also Street Fighter 3. Okay.
Yeah.
I will take back what I said then because I was getting the versions confused.
Now, I've kept the best ones to the last, but we've got Daytona, which failed miserably on the Saturn. They couldn't do they couldn't draw the cars correctly. But on the Dreamcast, it was arcade perfect. It was absolutely phenomenal. Jet Set Radio, you already said. Rez, which was a phenomenal game.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because most people think that was PlayStation 2 originally.
Yeah.
But it was not. It was out on Dreamcast.
Yeah, and it's now a VR game.
It's a Sega published game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually PlayStation or anything to do with Sony originally.
No, and it was absolutely phenomenal. The way it was drawn and animated, and it was almost Tron-like in its way. And it's now a VR game on the MetaQuest, and it's a joy to play, and on the PlayStation VR as well.
I think it has been brought out, and must be said, probably more times than Skyrim.
That's it. And my last two are Ready to Rumble Boxing. And,
yes, where you could fight as Michael Jackson, couldn't you?
Yeah. And House of the Dead. House of the
Dead 2.
So yes, House of the Dead 2.
Nice.
We'll forget about the House of the Typing or whatever it was called. But great game.
That was all right. The House of the Typing. Because I mean, see, did you play that, Duncan? House of the Typing, where you had to write before really quickly, didn't you?
I've had a little go on them, but not.
I mean, I prefer House of the Dead 2 if I was to choose out of the two games. But I think the Dreamcast it did bring a lot of arcade titles, didn't it?
Yeah.
But I think Sega did that with a lot of their consoles, with the sort of the arcade.
I think in Japan, I think that Sega actually run a lot of arcades, don't they? And they had a lot of, probably the rights to a lot of arcade games, even if they weren't published or developed by them. So they probably had quite close relationships with a lot of especially the Japanese developers. But yeah, so many fast-paced, very Japanese games.
Did any of you play Phantasy Star online? I never played it, but
I
That
did
only
try it.
once.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did try it on the Dreamcast, I think.
because it came out on GameCube as well, didn't it? Fantasy Star.
Never played it on the GameCube. I think I owned it once, but I never played it.
Because the
It's a game.
servers in
Was the
Japan
GameCube
only.
connected?
So yeah,
Yeah.
so like the servers in Japan for both the GameCube and the Dreamcast they only closed them down. I say only was 2007, but considering the Dreamcast discontinued in 2001, they were still going 6 years after that. So it must have had a bit of a following.
Definitely.
Well, I think the last game for the Dreamcast that was released on the GD-ROM was in 2014. And there's now a company that's producing the discs again, but yeah, the last official release on the GD-ROM produced by Sega was 2014. So it went on for a long time.
I'm assuming that would have been a Japanese only.
I would think so.
Yeah, I can't imagine they would have released it in the America. But why? Sorry, Tom, I'll let you go.
No, I was going to say we had the VM, the visual memory.
VMU. Oh, yeah.
That went into the controllers, and you had mini games on them, and it had their own little controllers in there, and they really did think about the detail of everything. I mean, it had a keyboard you could buy for it, the arcade stick, the fishing rod.
There was a microphone you could get as well.
That's it. Went on the end of the controller. Yeah. Steering wheels. I mean, I remember you could pick up the steering wheel for about £1 in most second-hand shops by about 2000. So it was big, massive box. Yeah. I think it was bigger than the console box. So, it was hard to store anywhere. But,
how big was the console box, Tom?
Oh, let me have a look.
This is one for the video.
YouTube,
Obviously, we are on YouTube, so if you are listening to us, you can see on YouTube.
Yeah, I've actually got
a Dreamcast.
I've got a PAL Dreamcast.
It looks brand new as well, Tom.
It hasn't been used at all, actually.
There you go.
So let's have a little look. Let's have a look at the box.
Give it away to one.
The first unboxing.
Let's have a little look.
Of a Dreamcast in about 20 years.
We've got the controller, which is in its original bag. So
this will be one lucky.
So did you get this off eBay, from Facebook Marketplace, or
this was an eBay purchase? I think I paid £90 for it. So, which is fantastic considering it comes with
you'll struggle to get one out of the box.
Yeah, it comes with the Dream Key, and also it comes with. This is how little I've checked this. It comes with the Dream On Collection 2, which includes playable demos of Sonic Adventure, Ready to Rumble Boxing, Rayman 2, Buggy Heat, Snow Surfers, Incoming, Red Dog, Toy Commander, and there's rolling demos and movies in there as well. So, and the Dream Key is that's how you got online.
Yeah.
So without that, you couldn't go online. I mean, it's mega, mega rare, and quite lucky to have that one. So, of course, you got the trusty controller.
Yeah, nice. I like the controller.
I like it. I think it's good. So,
it was. I mean, it was surprising. You're looking at it, and the way it's got the claw kind of grips. It looks uncomfortable, but I remember it being actually, really, really comfortable. And once you put a VMU in it, once you put a VMU in it, it had a good weight to it. Without the VMU, it was a bit light and plasticky, maybe. But once you put the VMU in it, it was nicely balanced, and because I think they were riding on the Tamagotchi wave, I think, with the VMUs.
You even got the Ethernet cable there.
We're going back into the past now. Look, we've got the old BT cable.
Oh, were they? Is it RJ11 cable?
Something like that.
I think isn't Ethernet RJ45 or something like that.
And then the console itself, which
is
quite heavy. I didn't realise how heavy it was. Excuse all the rustling. So it had the lining on the back for the internet, and it had a AV out, serial out, and the AC in.
I can't remember. Did when you connected to the internet, did it do the or did it not have that? I can't
I
remember.
don't remember.
There was some
It
things
did,
that suppressed it. And back in the day, it was like, oh, thank God you couldn't hear that. But now with the sort of the retro style, you want to actually hear that.
It had quite a I can't think of the word, but like
it's
a
almost a
very
calming effect,
when
therapeutic.
when you turn it on, it had like quite a very unique intro. Like like
bling blong.
That's it. Yeah, bling blong.
and you'd always have to change the date, wouldn't you, as well? Like the date would never. It was always like I can't remember the date. It's like some point in September 1998, I think.
That's it.
Like that.
That's it. Yeah. Now when the internal battery goes, that's it. Yeah, you're done. You have to open it up and change it, which is never a good idea. So it incidentally runs on. It says compatible with Windows CE.
I think Microsoft partnered with them. They did actually do a version of Windows CE because it basically used that kind of thing for it, that kind of software, x86 or whatever it is, and they wanted to bring Windows CE to it, which was, as we know, not a great version of Windows. It didn't have the same power as Windows back then. Not that Windows was particularly powerful back then. But yeah, there was Microsoft pretty much. They did what Sony did because for those people listening that don't know, Sony and Nintendo joined up. Nintendo went nah, and so Sony released the PlayStation. But they also had joined up with Sega, and then Sony went nah to Sega, and so then Microsoft came in going, oh, we'll help you with all these things. And they went, yeah, nah, we're not going to do any of those things. And then, surprisingly enough, released the Xbox. But yes, another nail in the coffin of Sega.
Like Microsoft, they wanted Microsoft on board for making it easy for third-party developers, didn't they? So that's sort
but then Microsoft screwed them over
and released their own console. So because I think we agree, there's some amazing games. It's also, for its time, what it was. It was quite revolutionary in terms of the internet, the graphics. So, in your opinion, why did it not succeed? Was it solely all down to PlayStation just being too popular, or do you think there are other things? I don't think it was just down to PlayStation. I think the fact that it didn't want a DVD player didn't help because people were buying PlayStation 2s.
Yeah.
That didn't have backward compatibility like the PlayStation 2 had backward compatibility. And when you look at the game, even though the games were Sony, PlayStation just had obviously an unlimited number of games as well, which went with it. So it sounds like I am just blaming the PlayStation for it. But
I was going to say,
they could have.
I think after what you've said, I think I'll go with Sony. Yes, I think Sony killed the Sega. Yeah, but I think me personally, I would say their history with their financial woes and everything, that it all had a part in it. But yeah, as I said, I only got one because my PlayStation didn't work. And I think I was probably one of many early adopters that probably either didn't bother getting one and probably still stuck with Sony, because I did eventually sell the Dreamcast and get a PS2 because DVDs. I mean, I don't know how much it was. It £300, I think, over here, the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, $299.
And back then, a DVD player was £400-500 because they were just coming out, so it was a new technology, and it was the same with the PlayStation 3. The reason why HD DVD and Blu-ray were fighting each other, the reason why Blu-ray won, was because it was in PlayStation 3. And I think so. Yeah, Sony announced the PlayStation 2 at just the time when Dreamcast was possibly struggling a bit, but and then they released it, and it killed off Dreamcast. I think a lot of people probably sold them. That, I mean, they lost a lot of money. They sold them. It's so cheap at the end. Apparently, it was like £29
at one stage. Game Station Was it Game Station? What would it have been at the time?
Electronics Boutique.
Yeah, and
or not Dixon's. I can't remember. What was
there was Dixon's.
Dixon's and was it MVP? What was the music?
Our Price.
Our Price.
HMV.
Well, but I think, yes, the lack of DVD play didn't help, but I also think the youngsters of 12 to 15, 16 grew up on the Sega Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo. They lost faith in the that in-between part of 32X and whatever else. Parents couldn't really afford that stuff, and it was a very confusing time. What worked? What was the next thing? Whatever. And I think by the time it was released, they'd got to an age where it was DVD, future games, PlayStation, Sony,
3D.
Yeah, I think because I was at sort of that age you're talking about when it came out, because the Sega Mega Drive was the first console, and I loved the Sega Mega Drive. But then I did go to the Saturn after that, but that quickly I went then to the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and then they never got me back as a customer, because then I was just like not loyal to the PlayStation, but because it was so successful and the hype of the PS2 coming out just meant that I just didn't really consider getting a Dreamcast at that time. And then and then you had like the 32X and the Mega CD, and then they just experimented too much, and you didn't know sort of what was a new console, what was just an add-on to another console. And then on top of that, they also had the Xbox and GameCube also bringing out consoles at the same time. So it was quite a competitive market. They had like an extra competitor in Microsoft. When it initially came out in Japan, it came out with 4 launch titles, which obviously isn't a lot. When it came out in America, it had like 19, but then that was about a year later. So
they hadn't
I mean, the Saturn wasn't really set up to do 3D graphics, particularly. It did do them, but not very well. And so, the N64 just crushed it. And then the PlayStation came along with all the storage possibilities and the 3D capabilities. I think people wanted it. People saw a lot of opportunity. Developers saw a lot of opportunity with that. So you had all that. You had the DVD, and they came out with what would have been a great console if they hadn't come out with the 32X, even the Sega CD, the Saturn. If they hadn't done all that, and then they've gone, oh look, we've been out of here for a while, but here's the Dreamcast. I think possibly maybe people would have gone
with the DVD player.
With the DVD player.
But I think the middle.
But I think the fact that it was Sony's design basically meant that if they brought out one with the DVD player, it would have been, here's our one. We would have sold it for £199, but we put a DVD player in it, so it's £550.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone agrees, but I think the middle of the 90s up to the release of the PlayStation 2 were a bit of a no man's land for gaming, because we were taking that jump from the 16-bit graphics and we were going into the 3D.
3D.
Yeah, the 3DOs, the Atari Jaguars, the N64, going up to the Dreamcast and the Saturns and things like that. And I think, people didn't know where gaming was going. It was you had Trip Hawkins, who was talking up the technologies of 3DO. You had Atari that were doing their final push and then collapsing after the Jaguar. Then they were talking up the Jaguar 2, the Panther. 3DO talking up the M2, which was going to be yet more powerful than the PlayStation 2. That failed. The N64, for all what it was, had a couple of unique, innovative games, but beyond that, was it a great console? No, it was pretty much a fake for Nintendo.
In terms of for Nintendo, it wasn't. Nintendo 64 and either 2 consoles I love, but they were not successful for Nintendo, and they were obviously the Wii came and sort of saved them from going down Sega's route. But we are now very much settled, aren't we, when it comes to home? Like, we know every 6 or 7 years or however we're going to get a Sony, a Microsoft, and a Nintendo. Whereas back then, like you're saying, you had Atari releasing consoles, you had Philips CDI, you had Sega doing loads of different stuff, and now it's we just have what we have. But
it was the wild west of console releases.
You've had I guess we had the Steam Deck come out, which is a different.
Yeah, I think
they already had the market, didn't they?
Yeah, there's a new wild west of that, I think, coming out. But the good thing about that is that it's all the same store fronts. It's all it doesn't matter if all the store Epic Games, Steam, GOG, and whatnot want to fight between themselves. Go ahead, you all fight between yourselves. I mean, Epic and their exclusives is a bit annoying. But yeah, if they want to fight between themselves and whatnot, as long as we can get the games playing on handhelds, great. It's fine.
It seems like a difficult market to get into because even Google tried to get into it and didn't succeed.
Yeah, I mean, Epic, I think in their lawsuit with Apple, I think it showed how much they'd spent, something like $500 million, I think it was, giving away free games. And so, you can become a successful storefront if you've got a spare $500 million.
And interestingly,
I don't think I'll be doing that.
Well, they're pushing Apple now into essentially Fortnite could be coming back to Apple. So, and
I think if it's natively, that's the thing. With the iPhone 15, is it? Obviously, I think we mentioned this before, or we didn't mention it. I don't think that they've got Resident Evil Village, running natively on a iPhone. So the fact that you could have a ray traced, high resolution version of Fortnite, I think, that's going to bring Epic back. Seeing as there's so many people that will be playing it, no problem.
It's quite interesting though. We've come full circle because Nintendo was saved by the Wii. Then they were devastated by the Wii U. Although I love the Wii U and I know Martin does as well. The Switch is the biggest selling console of this generation.
Yeah,
and it has the most games out of.
The thing with Nintendo is that I've only read this in various places, so I don't know. I think it's true. Is that they have got a lot of money in the bank, and so they could literally have 4 or 5 flops, no problem, and they'd still be all right.
Yeah,
but I guess that they could stop making consoles, and they would be because they got the money they must make from Mario and Zelda. Do they own Pokemon? I mean, Pokemon's the biggest franchise, the highest earning franchise in the world.
Is the Pokemon company owned by Nintendo?
I don't know, because it's like Niantic. Is it Niantic or something like that?
No, that's the people who make Pokemon Go. So they probably get a cut of the money. But I mean, the Pokemon company own Pokemon, but does Nintendo own Pokemon?
Apparently, the owner is Nintendo, Creatures, and Game Freak.
There you go. So Nintendo, yeah. So
isn't it a lifelong contract as well with Nintendo? Although they own a huge proportion of it, but the contract for the games side of it is a lifelong contract. So it's never changing. So
they've done well there.
Yeah, that is a deal and a half, isn't it? Straight away there.
Gotta catch them all.
I wonder what impact the Steam Deck era will have on, because let's face it, Nintendo invented the Steam Deck era with the Switch. So what are we looking at next? That's interesting.
You could say though that technology invented the Switch. The developed technology, but then did Nintendo help develop that technology?
Did you mean having the mixture of handheld?
Yeah, I think the fact. I mean, if you look at the Switch,
I mean, the Wii U obviously started that, but they just didn't do it very well on the Wii U. And then they with the Switch, it is an actual. You don't have to have your console. your main one on to play it or whatever. But I guess, I mean, the Xbox and PlayStation 5 at the moment haven't gone down that route, have they? I know obviously there are rumours that they could.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're always going to have the mobile is just going to be slightly behind the home versions of the technology. You're not going to have a high-end i9 processor with a 4090 graphics card in a handheld. Although if you are, it's going to be a big handheld. You're not going to be taking it on the bus.
Well, you mentioned Stadia. Stadia was actually really good.
Oh, Stadia! The technology was fantastic.
Yeah, it was just priced really badly, and that.
Well, everybody presumed. I don't know about you, but anecdotally, everybody that I talked to was like, "It's going to be great because they're just going to have a subscription, and you'll just be able to play games like on Game Pass, but wherever you are on whatever device." Oh no, you got to buy the games. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm not interested in that. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah,
because you don't physically. Because it's like a streaming, isn't it? Whereas if it was like a Netflix service for games, I think it would have been a lot more popular because you wouldn't feel so bad paying because you just know, oh, well, I stopped paying, then I won't own. But paying actual, however much they were selling the games, and then if you ever got rid of the Stadia, it's all gone. It's just
interestingly, the Stadia controller now works on Game Pass through the laptop, and it is. I own a lot of controllers, and I'd say it is one of the best controllers I've ever used.
It's got good weight to it, hasn't it? It's a real good weight.
It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So
I can imagine if people want them, they're pretty much widely available on eBay, probably quite cheap because I don't know about you, but I got my money back for it. Hey.
Yeah.
Although you said you got yours for free, didn't you, with a deal or some kind?
Yeah, but I still got a refund.
Yeah.
I used to review bits of tech and stuff, so I used to always get sent stuff from Google and other companies, and that was one of the things. But they still sent me a refund for something I didn't pay for. Sorry, Google.
Nice.
Hopefully, no Google bigwigs will watch our or listen to our podcast. But anyway, I'm just looking at the time.
Yes. So, anything else wants to say about the Dreamcast?
Yeah, we've gone off a bit of course of the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Bring out the Dreamcast Mini. That's what I say.
Dreamcast Mini.
That would be like amazing.
What about their controller? If they brought that out, which I know they bring out the Nintendo 64 controller, don't they? Which you can use on.
It was good for its time, but no, just
you wouldn't use a controller.
Always Xbox controller. All the dual sense is good now,
but the Dreamcast Mini, I would definitely invest in. But they've only done the Sega Mega Drive, so would they just go onto the Saturn if they were going to do another one?
So somebody's invading Tom's house, and that
was my dog. Apologies, anyone that's listening. My dog just decided to create an earthquake. So.
Then, naturally, you'd think they would go on to Sega Saturn if they were going to do one, but maybe not with how with the Sega. No, I think if they did the Dreamcast, I would.
I think finish as started. I think it is one of the most dearly loved flops.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best cult machine there is.
A lot of following, doesn't it? Maybe because it flopped and it's the last Sega, people hold it more dearly because it's the
Sega did good before they died.
I know, yeah.
Unfortunately.
And on that note, I'm going to go and play my Dreamcast. So
I know I want to go and buy a Dreamcast.
Thank you for opening that on live on video.
I'm not looking forward to putting it back together again. I accidentally pulled off the modem part of it, so hopefully I haven't.
You can have a good look at that. See if anything interesting is on there. Is it? What is it? Is it Sega or is it Nintendo console that's got potato written on it? I was looking up. It's it's a process. It's a processor, so it's on the inside. But there's a console that one of the chips on it has a potato written on it for some reason. Anyway, So,
We don't.
we have we looked up at gaming on this day? Oh, let's see if
We haven't yet, but
I bet you, there's got to be something released on the Dreamcast. 19 years ago now, PlayStation 2. Oh, blimey, they were still releasing things. When was the Game Boy Advance released?
God.
early 2000s, wasn't it?
Okay, because that was
2002, I
2004.
reckon.
2004
I can't believe that.
games were coming out on
I
that.
had the Game Boy Advance when it came out. So it came out in 2001, actually, Game Boy Advance.
Oh, okay. Oh. Well, that was longer than... not as long as I thought it was. I thought it was in the 90s.
Game Boy Color.
No, I'm trying to look quickly, and there is no games that say Dreamcast on the I think, but
It died.
I'm now on to the ones we said last week. The original Fallout came out 26 years ago, 1997. Bit of a blast from the past, but no Dreamcast games, I'm afraid.
That's a shame.
Sad times.
Portal came out 16 years ago. The original Portal for PC. Team Fortress 2 came out on the same day. Apparently. There you go. And Half-Life 2 Episode 2. That seems a bit weird that they'd all come out on the same day.
Is that planned?
I was going to say, maybe that's that's some kind of mistake, or maybe some kind of official release kind of thing. We've got Forza. Forza Motorsport 4 came out 12 years ago. No, nothing. No big uns. No big uns, I'm afraid, that came out on this day, kind of thing. October 13th. FIFA 09, yay. Brutal Legend, 14 years old. If you like a bit of rock, yeah, that's good. Uncharted 2, 14 years ago as well. That's a bit of a battle. Uncharted 2 versus Brutal Legend. Although I like Brutal Legend, Uncharted 2 is very good. Right. That's
us.
That's all done. So
that's it.
That's the end of the Dreamcast.
Yeah. Dreamcast Special. So, I mean, hang on. Shall we decide on the podcast what the next console will be, or shall we keep that for a surprise? Like and subscribe, and maybe we'll decide for the next one.
Or if you want to see a specific console, we can
comment
on the podcast.
Also, say what your favourite Dreamcast games are.
Let us know.
Did we miss any out? Because I'm sure we did. I'm sure there's loads out there that haven't mentioned. I know there's loads I haven't mentioned. So do let us know. And also, what your opinion of the Dreamcast is, good or bad.
And let's face it, it was bad at the time, but it is good.
Good now.
It's so confusing. It's a very confusing console. Anyway, like and subscribe and all that stuff. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.